Okay, now that the expansion box is all ready to go, I'm just going to power it up real quick. Make sure we get some power. Okay, we have the light for the interface. We have the light for the, I believe that's where I put the serial card. There should be a 32K RAM one in here, and the floppy disk drive. Now I don't have anything hooked up, so I don't expect all these lights to be on right now. But we'll start with this. It does power up. It's not making any unusual noises. So I'm going to get started and piece together the system. Now the first piece of the system that I'll need is a monitor. For my monitor, I'm going to use a 9-inch Panasonic Studio monitor. It's got a pretty clean screen to it, nice resolution considering it's just NTSC and composite, but at the same time it's small enough so it all stays in view with this demonstration. The next item needed is the TI-99 computer itself. Now the TI-99 computer came in a traditional black model with a lot of aluminum polished trim, but did you ever have a collection of stuff that you knew you had, but you forgot where you put it when you put it away the last time? Well, that's the problem I have right now. I know I have a box full of those black and silver TI-99s, but I can't for the life of me figure out where I put them. I probably put them in the bottom of a stack of other boxes, like Rubbermaid containers, and I just simply don't feel like digging for them right now. So I'm going to use this one, which was more readily accessible to me. It's basically the same computer, newer model. It just came in the boring beige color that PC compatibles were coming out with. So you'll just have to bear with me if during this month of the Retro Challenge I find one of the other models. You'll suddenly see this replaced in future demonstrations. But I've added the TI-99 speech synthesizer. Very popular add-on item. There's a lot of them around. I know I have a few of these in boxes too. Now this one comes in the black and sort of silver, as dirty as it is, black and silver tone. The one thing nice about the speech synthesizer is that it has a pass-through connector that we can use to pass through to the expansion box. Plugging in the expansion box, this makes for basically a complete system. It's ready to go as is. It does not have a printer, unfortunately. I may hook one up during this Retro Challenge, but I need to find a serial-based printer in my collection. I also don't have joysticks set up at the moment, but I will set those up and try out a few games. But for now, my goal is to make sure that this all powers up and that I can make the speech synthesizer work, that it accepts commands and basic input, and that the memory card works, and that the disk drive works. Now I'll go ahead and power it up. I have the monitor on a outlet strip. Let's just hope I have the right channel selected. Okay, monitor's turned on. I'll turn on the expansion box. Now I'll turn on the computer. There we go. Let me try this again. It's supposed to make a nice beeping sound. Okay, that powers up. Okay, now it's time to test out the Texas Instruments TI-99 hardware. As you saw previously, I cleaned out the expansion box. I got the TI-99 hooked up, I got the speech synthesizer hooked up, and I got the expansion box connected with the expansion card, or the cable. First thing I'll do is power it up. Just close that. Okay, TI-99 always boots up to a title screen. It says press any key to begin, and I'll just hit any key. And these are my options to start up the computer. I can go right into basic mode just by hitting 1. TI basic ready. Unfortunately, TI Basic doesn't have a lot of features, and it's very airtight. There's not a lot that you can do with it as is. You almost always had to buy some sort of an expansion cartridge like the ones here to do anything. But we can get it to do some basic stuff, like 10, print. Some of the weird things about this is where on other computers you might hit Shift 2 or something to get the double quotes. Well, the keyboard on this is really small. I believe it's 48 keys. So they'll put things like single quotes and double quotes on the front of the keys to access them using a function key. So to get quote, I have to hit function P, and I could say hello. Many of you probably have seen this before in your early days of BASIC. Close quotes, put a semicolon in, hit return, line 20, go to 10. Now, for those of you who are not familiar with the old 8-bit BASIC tricks, what this is designed to do, it'll print the word hello followed by the 5 dots I followed it with. The semicolon tells the computer not to go to the next line right away. Just whatever gets printed next goes right after what gets printed here. And line 20 says go to 10, so it'll start the print process over again. In effect, you basically get the word hello followed by 5 dots, repeated over and over again. So I'll type run, hit return, and there it is. The TI-99 also changes the background screen color when a program is running. I believe you can change that in code. Some computers don't change the screen background, and honestly I prefer that way. I don't like it when the computer thinks I should see things a certain way, so I don't like the fact that it does do the green background. So to stop this program, there's lots of function keys on the top of the TI-99, and to access them I can either hit the function key to get the lower row of functions, or the control key, which is indicated by the red dot, to get the top row of functions. To stop this I have to, I think it's function 4 for clear. That is like the break key. I'll list the program. I'm going to edit it a little bit. I'm going to add another dot after hello to kind of space things out and see if it changes the look of the display. Other computers, when you don't have exactly the right amount of characters to fit on a line, then when you do a trick like this, like make it print hello forever, it'll create some sort of like diagonal slanted effect, which is kind of cool. It's a quick demonstration. It's not a whole lot that it does, but it's still kind of neat. And you can adjust the angle just by changing the number of dots you put after the word hello. So I'm not familiar if there's any direct edit command for TI Basic, so I'm just going to go ahead and just retype the line. Followed by 6 dots, close quotes, semicolon, hit enter. If I list the program, you can see now it has the 6 dots in it. So in BASIC, anytime you edit a line number by giving it the same line number as one before, it'll erase the old line and replace it with the new one. So I'll type run. Doesn't make much of a difference. It's not going to put the word hello after the end of the dots here. It's just going to leave a blank space. Like I said, the built-in BASIC is really simple, but we can test this out with the extended BASIC. But meanwhile, we want to test out the Peripheral Expansion Box before we go any further. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this off. First thing I want to do is I want to make sure the memory works. There's supposed to be a 32K expansion in here, and I could not test the memory in TI Basic because there's no memory check command. So we will install the extended BASIC cartridge. Goes right in the front. Turn the computer on, and now when I press any key, you see I have 2 choices. I can go into regular TI Basic, or I can go into TI Extended Basic. by hitting number 2. So I'll hit 2. Now the first thing TI Extended Basic tries to do, if a hard drive is installed, is load the first program on a disk in there. And I do not have a disk in there right now. Actually, it won't load the first program. It'll load the program called load. I'm thinking Commodore 64 word. And any kind of automatic boot up would load the first program. Actually, a Commodore 128 does that, but that's beside the point. Extended Basic, when it's running, will attempt to boot the first or the file called load on a disk. If there's no load file, then it just goes right into the basic prompt, as you see here. This basic works very similar to the built-in TI Basic. And I'll verify that by entering the same program. Oh, let's see. To move the cursor around, you have to use the ESDX keys with the function key to move things around. And then you can retype things. Go to 10, type in run. Notice the Extended Basic does not change the background color, which is nice, but it still doesn't fill in this extra space here with the words hello and give us a nice angled effect. I wish I could show you what that looks like, but it's not going to happen here. So I'll stop this. Now we'll check the memory. The command to check the memory on a TI-99 with an Extended Basic is the size command. I have a 32K expansion on here. What I have is 24,000 or 24 kilobytes of program space, so it's got more than the 4K built in, but that's all the further it goes. Now I have stack space of about 11.8K. Not too familiar with what the stack space is for. I think it's primarily for people who might, create their own assembly language programs, and there are cartridges that let you do that. Or if there might be other language cartridges. Well, yeah, here's the editor assembler. There might be other language cartridges which can make use of that space, but for the most part, the TI-99 was pretty well insulated from the user. Extended Basic gives you a lot of powerful graphics and sound commands, and it makes some programming concepts a lot easier, but it really doesn't let you get to what the hardware is capable of doing, and that was a real big drawback, and it's probably one of the reasons why the last brand new TI-99s that were on the shelves were sold for like $50 each, because Texas Instrument took a big loss. Nobody was buying their stuff. It was overpriced. And they ended up selling out really cheap, really fast in the early 80s. If they had only opened up the hardware a little bit more, like Commodore did with their VIC-20 at the time, they could have still been making computers for most of the 80s, if not longer. Texas Instruments is still a very powerful company today. They concentrate more on digital signal processing, integrated circuits these days, but they had the financial backing to continue if they did it right. But hindsight is 2020. You can't blame them. They just made some wrong decisions and were able to afford to take a bath, basically, take the losses, and get out of it, I guess, from their standpoint, just in time. Anyway, that aside, I'll show you another thing soon, why it was really hard to do anything with these computers. Okay, so we can see that the memory works. So let's try the disk drive. I got a mystery disk that I know is a TI disk. Why? Because it came in a box of TI disks. So I'll just put this in here, close the door, and now what? I should get a directory, correct? On Commodore computers, it's load, quote, $, close quote, comma 8, and then when it's finished, after you hit return, after it's finished loading, you type list, and there's your disk directory. Other computers, it might be the catalog command, or it might be a directory command. Whatever the case is, it's not going to happen here in TI Extended Basic. Unfortunately, the only way to look at the contents of the drive is to insert a different cartridge. like Disk Manager. It's unfortunate, but if I have something here, I can save and I can load from disk. I just can't get a catalog of the disk. So now I have to turn off the computer, change cartridges. I'll just move this up here, turn this back on, press a key, and there's my Disk Manager choices. And this is interesting. I can go back to TI Basic, the regular Basic. That's always going to be an option. I can go to 2 for Disk Manager in English, 3 for Disk Manager, which looks like it's in German, and 4 Disk Manager looks like it's in French. So I speak English. Number 2. Nice little title screen, which is, in my opinion, a useless weight, because I want to find the contents of this disk. These are what's available to me. I have file commands, I have disk commands, I can do disk testing, which is, let me do that first. Let me take what I think is a blank disk. Before I look at the existing disk, I'll take a blank disk, because the goal here is to test this, correct? I have a new disk. I may have played around with this before, so let's just verify that there's nothing on here. I'll hit 2 for disk commands. That means commands for whole disk activity. And there's my choice to catalog a disk. Number 1. Hit enter. Ask me for which master disk. You can have up to 3 disk drives on this system. The built-in one is number 1, so it defaults to number 1. I'll hit enter. And it asks me where do I want the listing. Do I want to send the listing to the screen? Do I want to send it to a solid-state printer which is connected? Do I want to send it through the RS-232 interface to send it, say, to another computer? I don't know. Maybe it could be an RS-232 printer, like a serial port printer at the time, as opposed to an official Texas Instruments, quote, meaning high-priced printer. And 4 other. I'm not going to choose other rate. Yeah, what the heck, I'm curious. I'll hit 4. Okay, it's asking me for a device name. And on the Texas Instrument, devices are referenced by name. The thing is, I don't know any other device names to use, so I'm hoping it'll let me back out of this. There we go, I hit the function 9, which is the back command. So I want to catalog the disk. Disk 1. I want to send it to screen. Well, it defaults to screen. Okay, I had formatted this already because it says here disk 1. The disk name is called TI-99 disk. It has 358 available blocks. None of them are used, but that's okay. I'm going to go ahead and do the disk test. So I can choose proceed, redo, begin, or back. All these are available as options or functions on top of the keyboard, so I'll just go back, and I'll go back one more, and we'll do disk test number 3. We will do let's see what the comprehensive test does. Disk 1. Okay, first thing it's asking me to do is if I want to format it. It has a disk name TI-99 disk. I guess because this has already been formatted, it doesn't give me the option to change the name, but it's asking me how many tracks per side. Well, it defaults to 40. I'm going to go with the defaults. Single-sided, yes, it is a single-sided drive. Single density, I'm going to go with yes. Do I want it to loop this process? No, it defaults to no. Do I want to log errors? No, I just want it to show on the screen. So now it's initializing disk. You can hear it clicking as the head moves. And it'll click about 40 times, one for each track. Okay, now it's going to verify all the blocks. Block numbers are counting up. It'll go up to, what is it, 358 before it's done. I'll let that continue. while we're waiting here, I'm going to show you some of the cartridges I have that I would like to try out during this session. We have games like Super Demon Attack, very popular TI-99 game called Parsec. That's actually a pretty fun one, and it uses the speech synthesizer for voice, which probably speaks better than I do right now. Classic arcade action, Burger Time. Company called Atari, you may have heard of them, had a line of 8-bit computer cartridges that they made for all different types of 8-bit computers, TI-99 included. I have Donkey Kong, Centipede, and I'll tell you one thing, Atari made some very good games. They were able to exploit the hardware of the TI-99. It's really amazing the kind of graphics that this machine is capable of, but was so isolated from the user. It's just sad in a way. This is almost finished, so. Okay, so I guess it's going to complete testing because I did the comprehensive one, so it's going to keep testing. So I'm going to go ahead and abort this by, it says clear to abort, so there's the clear function, function 4. Okay, do I have to hold it? There we go. Alright, so there was no errors. That's good. This disk drive works. So we'll go back to begin. We'll choose begin, which should take us right back to the beginning. Now I know I have a blank disk. Now we'll look at this mystery disk. Sometimes you just gotta love those unlabeled disks and the surprises that wait. Okay, disk commands. 2. Catalog disk, which is 1, and it's set as 1 by default. Master disk 1, and to the screen 1. And there's some file names. We got Camelot, looks like checkbook, CHKBOOK. CHR define, I guess you can redefine the characters. That's another thing you can do with the TI-99 is you can redefine the character bitmaps and create your own custom block graphics. There's one that looks like it says Codebreaker. GRT circle, I'm going to assume that's Great Circle. For those who fly a lot, the parlance there, the Great Circle is the circle that's the shortest distance between 2 points is an arc around the Great Circle around the Earth. It's probably a better detailed explanation, but if you're going from New York to Paris, you look at a flat map and you think, okay, we'll just go straight east across the Atlantic Ocean. Well, you could be wasting a lot of miles doing that. The Great Circle tells you that the shortest distance is actually flying near and around Greenland and then back down past England into Paris, because that's the shortest distance on the Great Circle around that arc of the globe. Anyway, another one here, SCRT NUMBR. Notice that there is a file size limit of about 9 characters. That one's probably secret number. And then there's one called Trapshoot, spelled out completely. And then it has the block sizes. I would assume the larger block sizes might be better games. This looks like mostly games, but let's just remember Camelot. Or Camelot if you want to spell it that way, right? So I'll set this disk aside because there's one other disk I want to work with here. I have one called, it says Utilities and Genealogy. Now the one thing about this disk drive is it's really weird. The spring is awful tight, so when you put a floppy in, if it's not built well, it tries to bend and mangle itself up, so you got to be careful. Close the lid. And I don't know which end's up. I mean, I'll believe that side's up, but I'm sure it's easy to get it reversed if you have side 1 and you consider this side 1. You put the disc upside down. If you're one of those people that like to make flippy disks where you cut the little notch on both sides so you can turn them over. If you didn't have flippy disks, then I'm sure it'll only pick one side. It can only write to one side. The other one will be blocked off. But it is possible if you do flippy disks that if you mislabel the front side, and you give the disc to somebody else who has another one of these, they might get it confused and not have their sides done up properly. Anyway, that aside, I'm going to go back and I'm going to catalog this disc to the screen. A lot of files on here. I saw joy test, I guess it's joystick test, H-plot, whatever that might be. Unfortunately, I have to do this again so I can read the rest. So I'll hit function redo, and it'll allow me to catalog the disk again. Bank, cataloger, check text, bar graph, document. This is where it'll be nice to have a printer, but this is a serious shortcoming. There's no way I could have paused that screen. So either I'm good at writing things down fast as I read it, or I have to either know the contents of the disk ahead of time, or learn how to memorize them, or I'd have to spend a lot of money for a printer just so I can print it each and every time I forget the contents. So anyway, that had some interesting stuff. I do have another disc here. I just got to find it. There's supposed to be one with utilities, some useful utilities in here. Okay, here's one. Let's see what this one has. It says general on one side. I'm going to put that side up. That's actually the back side, but this is the flippy disk. So we'll redo this. This one has doctor, home kitchen, maze maker, menu, Morse code, weather, STA, weather station. Actually, these are 10 character file names, so that's probably the limit. There's a draw program. A lot of different stuff to look at. I just want to go through a bunch of these here and see what they're like. And here's another blank one, Like I said, I like the blank ones. It has a blank label, so we'll redo. Database, DB load, help, and load. There's the load file. Load meaning when you have TI Extended Basic in, you have the disk in the drive, and you go into Extended Basic mode. It'll pull the drive, look for the load file, and launch that program. Let's see what's on the other side of this disk. Redo. It says load demo DB99 doc. Load is a program. Demo, I don't know what that is. It sounds fun. I'm going to set this one aside temporarily. Take a look at some of my other discs in here. Here's one that says War Games, but it's also a flippy disk, and it has Hero Adventure on the other side. I'm not looking into games right now. Here's one that says Cart Bust on the front. Cart Bust. I did hear that there is the ability to dump the ROMs of cartridges, especially game cartridges. Maybe that program does that. So is it bust, cart, disk runner? I might try to preserve this disk. Maybe even make a copy of it sometime. That sounds like some good utilities. And it was common on a lot of 8-bit computers at the time. Eventually somebody learned to dump the contents of a cartridge onto a disk file so you could play it from disk. This appears to be no different. Okay, I put in the back side, and you notice it's hanging after I told it. Disk not initialized. Okay, well, somebody made a flippy disk out of it by cutting the notch in the other side, right there, but they haven't formatted it, so I'm just going to leave that be. I have one here called D-Master. I'm just exercising the drive right now. Okay, It's a weird disk name. Hopefully it's not a bad disk. Okay, it says artist, load, logo. Okay, so there's a load on this. This is an auto booting disk. Backside says TI artist. Yeah, some of these I didn't go through yet. Well, this one says TI artist files, but it has a notch in it that, and it's not labeled on the back side, so I'll give that a look too. So we'll redo. Okay, it's empty, it's formatted. It didn't give me any errors, but it says available 358 blocks. It says Lenz disk, LENZDISK, so a guy named Len maybe? Still looking around here. I got a whole bunch of discs here that seem to have blank labels. They're just labeled with numbers. You know, B1, B3, B7. And here's one that says mass copy and Disk Manager 1000. Let's take a look at that one. Maybe this is a disk-based disk manager program that I can run from TI Extended Basic. Oh, there's a load, and there's some documentation files for it. It might be an interesting one if I can get it out of the drive. I think the label is snagging it or something, or those write protect tabs. Let's look at the first side here. Redo. Mass copy. So I think this will be another useful disk for me if I want to probably copy the disks, make my own backups of these backup files. I'm just going to check one or two of these. Generically labeled ones. This one says A2 is a program, whatever that is. That's a blank formatted side. Maybe these are labeled and they're just blank. I'll do one more. Then we'll get into some more serious stuff. Blank. And blank. Okay. Won't go too much further with this. What I will do now is I'm going to go back to this one that says assorted. I just want to verify the contents because I didn't write it down, and at my age, memory's not quite. I think this computer has better memory than I do. Okay, so for this one, it's hard to say. I guess I can run joy test or hplot. I mean, I can let it boot up and load, but I wanted to do that with another one. We'll do this one. We'll do the demo. I think it's the database one. So I will reboot. I'll take out this manager. Put in TI Extended Basic, and we'll let it load that load program automatically. Hit 2 for Extended Basic, and we'll let it go. You can hear it clicking as it's loading, as the head's moving. Alright, what does this say? Database 994A. Create file, update, sort file, print file, repair file, catalog disk. Okay, disk number 1. Okay, don't know what to say. I guess this is for, I don't know if this is a text database or if this is a database or cataloger of disk files, which would be kind of nice actually. Well, that aside, I'm going to pop this disk out for now. I'm going to concentrate on this demo. So I'll just restart the computer, function quit. That's a kind of a quick reboot. Hit 2 again for extended basic. Let it pull the drive, but I'm not going to let it load anything. Alright. Now I'll put the disk in. But before I do anything with that disk, I want to test out the speech synthesizer. The regular TI Basic doesn't let you use the speech synthesizer directly, but Extended Basic does, and you use it by calling a built-in function called say. You actually type call say, and then in parentheses and quotes, you put in what you want it to say. There's a limited amount of words that it will speak directly. If it comes across a word, like if I type a whole sentence here, if it comes across a word in that sentence it does not understand how to say, it will spell it out. But I will say hello, close quotes, close parentheses. I don't know if you heard that. I'll turn this back up again. It's that simple.
Hello there.
It works. It's kind of nifty. The speech synthesizer is probably one of the most common peripherals available for this computer, and you could probably easily find them on eBay. When they first came out, they were a little over $100 each, but you can get them rather cheap now. In fact, anytime you come across TI stuff anymore, there seems to be a speech synthesizer thrown in with it. It's like the giveaway now. Back to the disk. We wanted to load demo. Now, to load a program on the TI-99 with Extended Basic off of disk, you have to use a command called, and I don't know why they did this. I'm assuming it's an acronym, but instead of the word load, you type the word OLD. I don't know what it stands for. I can only guess either Open Loading Device or Open Logical Device. So, and on some computers, the disk drive is considered a logical device. But use the word old followed by DSK1, indicating diskette number 1, with a dot, and then the name of the program. Hit return. IO error 2. Maybe demo can't be loaded. Maybe it's not a valid program. So I'll take that disk out. Now here's the problem. I'm losing track of my disks. I almost wish I did have a printer to hook up to this. We had a game called Camelot on one of them, correct? Maybe it's this one. So we'll OLD DSK1 dot Camelot. That was the one, so you can hear it loading. There it is. I was getting worried there. I'll hit list. And this is a basic program, or extended basic program. See all these call commands. Those are the enhancements to extended basic. Instead of actually having regular basic commands, it has a set of built-in functions that you call. So you call the function and give it its parameters. So Let's stop this here and run it. Maybe we'll get a lot of loud music. You have 4 nights to enter a joust to determine if you are worthy of defending Camelot from 4 demon dragons. You have a choice of 3 weapons: lance, mace, and sword. Lance beats sword, mace beats lance, sword beats mace. It sounds like rock, paper, scissors. Okay, please wait while I measure you for your suit of armor. It looks like you wear an off-the-rack size, of course. Challenge of Camelot. It's me against Sir 99. By the way, these are the custom characters that you can create. You know, they're bitmapped characters. Or the call character statement was. Alright. What can I do? Okay. Choose LMS. I guess that's the lance, mace, or sword. So I'll just choose M. Looks like I picked the right one. Never said these games were exciting that are in basic. Okay, looks like I won too. Oh no, he got me. But that's all the custom character stuff in Extended Basic, creating that. Oh, maybe I lost 2. No, I lost 1. Okay. It's just slow recreating the characters. I'll try Lance this time before I give up on it and get to some real gaming. Looks like it was a tie. Anyway. Quit that. Let's try a real game. Take out TI Extended Basic and put in Parsec. This one talks. It also uses joystick. TI joysticks came as 2 joysticks wired to 1 connector. They were almost Atari compatible, not quite. Some companies made adapters which will connect into it and split it into 2 Atari connections. I thought this was one of them, but it's not. It has 2 9-pin DINs, 9-pin or D9s, and this would go into the Texas Instruments. But the TI-99 joystick has the same kind of connectors in Atari 2600 or most of the early 8-bit Atari. But unfortunately, they weren't quite wired the same, which is TI's fault, 100%. If they would have made that Atari compatible, it might have helped. So, and we're going to launch Parsec. Press any key to begin. And we get to a motion screen.
Press fire to begin.
It says press fire to begin. Here I can move up and down. Whoops, I can't. I think I have a bad joystick socket. I can't move up. That's a real pain. I'm going to have to redo this here before I get blown out of the sky. Oh, I know what it is. Another problem with TI. The alpha lock key. You can't see it on the screen here, but that has to be up in order for the up button to work. You know what? I'm going to restart this. There we go. Now we'll play the game. The weapons collision on this isn't perfect, but it is playable. Sometimes you'll think you hit something, but it goes right through. These ships are a little more deadly and take more than one hit. They're called the Urbite ships.
Enemy destroyed. Enemy destroyed. Laser on target.
I don't want to hit the ground, and I don't want to hit that ship. Apparently I don't want to shoot it either. There we go.
Ship
Here
attack.
comes the Dramite ships. Looks like there's Urbite ships, but it's a little more menacing. A little more accurate.
Warning. Time to refuel.
Okay, I'm out of fuel, so I have to refuel. I have to hit the 1 key to lower my descent speed, or else I'll run into something. And this is kind of tricky, because I got to get below this. There we go. And down.
Congratulations.
Now I got to fly out of here. There's 3 different speeds for moving up and down, 1, 2, and 3. So when I get out of this, I'll hit 3, and I can go up and down faster. Now I got the more Dramite ships. You got to keep moving with these things.
Destroyed.
Now this is the tricky ship. Ah, got me. They come from behind, and I always forget where they come from. Come on.
Extra ship. Guide shooting.
I said I got an extra ship.
Ship attacking.
Okay, this is the Binite ships. These are even deadlier. They can get you.
Alert. Ship attacking.
They come out on the screen right in front of you. Right in the firing line. That's why you gotta keep moving for these things.
Enemy destroyed.
I'll go through an asteroid field. Also, another thing about this game, you don't want to hold the fire button down,
5,
because your ship will heat up
4,
and explode.
3, 2, 1. Advance to next
Okay,
level.
I'm in the next round. Now every ship takes an extra shot. Or collision.
Alert. Alien craft advancing.
See, I know it went from purple to blue because it takes 2 shots to destroy it. But you basically repeat the same patterns. It's just it takes an extra shot for everything.
Alert.
Into some of the higher levels. See it, 1, 2, 3 shots. In the higher levels, the Urbite or Binite ships or whatever go invisible in their 3rd shot. Then you have to really keep shooting in the dark.
Alert. Alien craft
I'm gonna
advancing.
keep firing till I explode, just to show you how it is. You explode, but your ship blinks red.
Alert.
Blinks on and off red.
Alien craft advancing. Alert. Ship
Like Dramite ships.
Enemy destroyed. Enemy destroyed. Alert. Ships attacking.
Yeah, I think I'm wearing out this fire button. Yeah, another thing about these TI joysticks, they wear out quick. I'm done. High score, 15,800. So, that's actually a Texas Instruments branded game. Let's try one of the Atari soft ones. Donkey Kong is a classic. Number 2 for Donkey Kong. Told you the graphics look really good on this. They kind of got the colors and the look just about down pat from the arcade version. The only thing they don't do on this one, you'll see when I get to start this, the Donkey Kong character does not move, but the barrels still come out. So some shortcomings, but you can see that the graphics are really good compared to the original. So I'll hit enter. I mean, look at that. It's oops, am I using the wrong joystick? There we go. I mean, it looks good. It sounds really good. And remember when the ColecoVision came out and how well it played Donkey Kong? Well, this one just seems to do a very good job. Atari did a great job with this. Oh. And unlike the ColecoVision one, this has all 8 pins for the girders, not a subset of 3. So you can see the graphics capabilities of this was actually really good, and Atari knew how to exploit it, but Texas Instruments didn't allow the program to do anything with it. Oh, I got myself trapped here. Whoop. Come on. These things like to home in on you. Now, not all versions of Donkey Kong do this. I'll see if I can't get it to do it. If you move all the pins on one side, if you remove all the pins on one side and start using the hammer and the fireballs, they will get trapped on the side that you removed, because they can't get past the open hole. So you can actually, if you're good, you clear all these out and then you get all 5 fireballs and they're all over here. You can finish the rest of the board yourself. The level arrangement's even about the same. So the games are really good on this. Just I wish the programmer had more control of it without spending a lot of money to get an assembler and books and all that stuff. I'm going to do one more Atari soft game. And that one is Centipede, which might not play well with the joystick, but we'll give it a shot. It says here, ensure alpha lock key is up. Yeah, because the alpha lock key kind of uses the same pins as a joystick port or something to that extent. There's it's got to share it. So if the alpha lock is down, the joystick up doesn't work right. So let's see if I can't play this game. I don't think I've ever played this. Okay, this isn't too bad, but it definitely looks like 8-bit. I think they did a better job with Donkey Kong. Oh, that sound gets a little annoying. Anyhow, can I grab one more game? How about Q*bert? This was a third-party game. Let's see, who made this? Parker Brothers made this cartridge. Yeah, with a generic title. Press 2 for Parker Brothers game. Yeah, so I guess any of the Parker Brothers cartridges, Q*bert being the only one I know of, they probably use the same startup text. Number of players, 1. It's a little loud. Oh, the graphics look pretty good here. And you have to hold the joystick at a weird diagonal. This is actually pretty good. But you have to hold the joystick at a diagonal to get that arcade diagonal controller style. But it seems to play very well. It just doesn't swear like the arcade does. What do you expect, right? I'm not going for that last one yet, because, you know, we always have to wait for the bonus points. not quite the same kind of artificial intelligence or gameplay as in the arcade, but it's close enough. Ah, I didn't jump in time. Anyway, it's there I go again. That's fine. I don't have to play a long time on video here, but you get an idea for some of the games. There's games with poor graphics, there's games with good graphics. It depends on who created them. The games in BASIC are very hard to create excellent graphics with. The cartridge games, which are most likely written in assembler, and we're able to use techniques to leverage the hardware and the graphics chip, were obviously the better games. So that is a short review of what the TI-99 can do. The expansion box was the big goal for me here, is to make sure that that works. The only thing I haven't tested yet is the RS-232 interface, and that may not get done before the end of this Retro Challenge month. But there are some things I can try. I'm going to have to pull the expansion box forward a little bit so I can get an adapter in the back, because it uses it has a female RS-232 socket, which is different from the RS-232 of a PC, and I don't even know if the pins match one-to-one. It could be a completely different set of wiring, so I have to look into that. If I can get the RS-232 working, I might try the terminal emulator program and have an actual modem that dials an actual phone line that will call bulletin board systems, and I'll try to connect to some bulletin board systems with it. Hopefully I can get that done. Meanwhile, this is the review. This is pretty much 90-95% of my goal for this Retro Challenge, is to get this system up and running with the expansion box. One of the discs that I have available for my TI-99 is a disc that says diagnostics on the back side, which is nice because it does have some diagnostic tools that I can use to test out the expansion box. So I'll go ahead and put that disc in. It should have a load file on it, so with TI Extended Basic installed, it'll automatically load it and run it. There we go. Master menu. Expansion box test, impact serial test, RS-232 test, speech test, thermal printer test, and impact parallel test. Well, I won't be able to do 2, 5, and 6 because I don't have an impact printer or a thermal printer. I can't do number 3 because I tried configuring the serial port with my modem and I couldn't get it to work right. I saw as I was typing the light on the RS-232 card was blinking as I was typing, so I know data's getting through it, but it might not wire up like a standard RS-232. So I'll have to bypass that test for now. Something for me to look into later on. So I can't do number 3. So that leaves number 1 and number 4. So number 1 is the expansion box test. I'll press 1 and hit enter and see what happens. Alright, very informative. It says good unit, so I assume it's good. Not very climactic, but hey, I guess it would tell me if something was wrong. Now I want to load up the load program again to bring up that menu. I could restart it, or I can just type OLD DSK1 for disk 1 dot load. I'm going to list this real quick. Okay, it's a basic program. Stop that. We'll just run it. Speech test. This will test out the speech synthesizer for return. taking a little while. It might be a large program, basic program. Larger programs. Oh, there we go.
1, 2,
There you go. It's counting.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K.
Seems as if it's going to be reciting everything it's able to, all the letters and numbers that are programmed into it.
W, X, Y, Z, about, after, again, all.
And those look like all the words that are programmed into it by default.
Any, R, S, assume, at, back, base, be, between.
Well, that's good to know. I can let this go for a long time and have it go through all the words, but this proves that the speech synthesizer does work, and it works well. Yeah, just like typing in the say command in BASIC, making the speech synthesizer work. This is just a quick test, so if I have other speech synthesizers, I could just plug it in and run this diagnostic program. Anyway, I'll reset it. And I want to show off something else. I have a cassette recorder hooked up here. The TI cassette recorder was basically an off-the-shelf cassette recorder with the TI name. You get the one with the TI name to make it look nice, but any of the mono cassette recorders that were available out there that had the earphone, microphone jack, and the like the switch jack, I forget what it's called, but there's 3 cables to this. 3 cables that plug into the side of the recorder, and these happen to be color coded for ease of use. So we have the earphone, the microphone, and the control, and the cable goes to the back side of the computer right here with a 9-pin in. It looks like an Atari joystick connector. Confusing enough, isn't it? Anyway, I have a program already saved on here. I can run it in either basic, extended, or regular TI basic. I will run it in regular basic. And to load something from the cassette player, it's the OLD command, followed by, and I'll put this in quotes. Actually, I won't have to put it in quotes. I'm just going to load the next program, so I don't have to give it a name. I'll just type in the device, CS1 for cassette 1. It prompts me to rewind the cassette tape. At that point there, it turned on the motor control, so you can control the recorder. Then press enter, press cassette play. I'm hitting play and it's not operating right now. That's because the computer controls the motor. And press enter, and then I'll hit enter, and then it'll read the tape. And what you'll hear is like a leader tone, and then you'll hear a bunch of scratchy tones, approximately 1 set of scratchy tones per line of code. Data OK, press stop, and then press enter. I'll list this. And what I have here is something I found in an old magazine. I think it was Home Computer Magazine from the early 80s. And this is a program called Pocket Canon. It actually takes 8 notes from Pachelbel's canon in D and mathematically creates a music with it in sort of a follow-along fashion, like row, row, row your boat. You kind of start out, in this case it starts out slow, then it adds another voice and picks up a little bit, and then adds a third voice and plays through continuously in some sort of melodic sound. The math is actually pretty simple when you sit down on paper and look at it. All it's basically doing is playing the TI-99 has 3 voices, and you can program them rather easily. This is one of the nice things about this computer and this BASIC, is that you can program them rather easily. You just use a sound command, like on line 50 here, call sound. You specify a duration, and then all you do is specify frequency by number, followed by a voice, or something to that extent. I didn't look it up. I'm trying to remember how it was, but basically you can address up to 3 voices of sound at a time. It's a basic sine wave voice, but it actually doesn't sound half bad. That's one thing this computer was capable of doing, is creating some fairly decent music, even though it's not a Commodore 64 SID chip. So I'm going to go ahead and run this. You'll hear the first few notes, the first 8 notes would have kind of like a clicking pause between them. I don't know if there's any way of getting around that programmatically, but that's probably just a small delay in program execution, but it'll pick up and then you'll hear it. And I'm going to end the episode on this. Let the music play out.